All right, good morning. Bows and bow ties. So look, before I get into Baltimore, Maryland being a dumpster fire, I need to circle back to something because I got into a short little conversation last night regarding Tyler Perry being an op. Okay. And somehow it segued into Kanye and some other things. I just want to say this. I stand by what I said. Everyone's like, you mean to tell me you wouldn't date somebody or be with somebody who was a mechanic or something? And he's really great, but he had dirty nails. I said, I don't like dirty nails. Now, let me just say for the record, anybody that I dated in the past, if they had to get their hands dirty, they got their hands dirty. But I don't want somebody with dirty hands touching me all the time. Like, they come home smelling like I don't like that. And it's okay. I'm allowed to not like that. But my main thing was, if I'm a professional, I am allowed to want somebody who's a professional too, or who can minimally match me. So I went into the whole thing about Tyler Perry telling people that they should be okay with somebody who can pay a light bill if they meet every other criteria. And I'm like, no, no, no. A man should not even want to be with a woman if all he can do is pay the light bill. I want to make this clear. I don't think anybody should be hitching themselves to someone who cannot provide for their family. I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not backing down, okay? I am not. So I know people are gonna think I'm some kind of way, and that's okay too. I'm not saying I have to have a millionaire, but and I'm just gonna make up round figures. If I make 100, 200, whatever that is, if I make that and I can provide a lifestyle for myself in that range, why would I want to hitch myself to someone who, and I'm just making up numbers, I'm going to say, I think, what is the average salary in a black family? Was it 42 or 48,000? I can't remember what it is. We'll just say 50, nice round numbers. Why would I want to deal with someone with 50K? Does that mean that they're less of a person? No, it does not mean that. It means you cannot match what I can already do for myself. It's not me waving coins in the air in somebody's face and saying, na 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 boo boo. It's not that. And if people cannot see beyond that, I can't. Look, some people just can't be saved. You cannot. So if you are making less than that, but less than me, or if you can't match me, it is what it is. I'm not talking if I was making 100K and you're making 95K. That to me is about the same. I'm talking about if I was making 100K and you're making 30. I don't know, 50, whatever. That's that. So then someone said, well, what if the roles were reversed? You're making 100K, 50K, whatever, and this guy's making a lot of money. I'm like, I don't make the rules. Men are supposed to be the providers and the protectors. Okay? I don't make the rules. It is what it is. Just like men want women who are young and beautiful and all these other things. Women want men to be handsome, but they want men to be providers. And they want them to have vision and make decisions in these other things. So I could go into this conversation more and more, but that's not what this video was supposed to be about. And I didn't take my medicine this morning, so you can tell. So anyway, let me get on to Baltimore being a dumpster fire. Now look, for the last 2 or 3 days, they have been reporting on the children in these schools. Now I'm talking about Baltimore City. I'm not talking about the outskirts and stuff like that. And then I was listening on the news again last night. I was sitting down. My husband and I were just watching the news for about maybe 15, 20 minutes, just resting before we had to get on with the rest of our evening activities and sports and stuff. And it came on the television because I had heard it. I had heard it a couple days prior, and then they reported on it. Now, I would suggest you guys do a little Google search and you can look up the particulars, okay? Because I'm probably going to butcher what they were saying. So everything I'm saying is alleged because I don't remember all the particulars because I was falling asleep. What they said was they did They ran statewide tests. Okay, and they found that in 13 of, I'm going to say there was a certain section of schools, in 13 of those schools. Now, keep in mind, think about the number of students that are in these schools. They said 0% of the students tested where they were considered proficient at mathematics. Zero students, 0%. You heard me correctly. Zero. Zero, zero, zero. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. They said zero tested proficient. Now, they put a scale up there and they were like, okay, you had one meeting, just like complete dumb dumb, two something else, three was proficient, and four was distinguished. So then they said, outside of those 13 schools where the kids were just horrible, they looked at the children in these other schools in the district, okay? Outside of those schools, they had a sum total of 92 students. 92 students tested proficient. Zero tested distinguished in math. I want you to let that sink in. And there's so many reasons why, but I'll tell you what. They flashed up on the screen that the person in charge of education, I can't remember her name, it was a black woman, okay? I cannot remember her name. She made $445,000 last year. They also said that Baltimore City, though, they get the most money. They get the most money for their children. Now, I I don't have all the data in front of me to perform any sort of analysis. Okay. I don't know how that money is sliced and diced. What I do know is $445,000 is a lot of money to head up a failing education program. Failing. Because at the end of the day, even for the kids who actually do show up to school, you should be making some impact on those kids while they are in school. Now, I'm sure there's disruptions in the class. I'm sure there are kids who are underfed. I'm sure there are kids who have austere home life. They have troubled home lives, but I don't think that's every child in Baltimore. I think you have children who are living in poverty, but some, now look, check this out. I believe there are children who are living in poverty who are still very loved. I said it. Because not all children who live in poverty are dealing with parents who are just psycho. They're just living in poverty. Now, there is a correlation to those who live in poverty and the effects of that on education and some other things. There's so many ways of slicing this. You're going to have the people who are from Baltimore, they're going to still defend Baltimore to the end, and I get it. They're going to defend, well, the reason why. But when I think about that, when I think about how just the other day they were reporting on, there were kids, this was just the other day, who they are now, I think they're trying to enact some law where they're trying like children as adults, because now they're getting 11 and 12-year-olds to rob the cars and drive cars so that the older kids can do whatever it is they're going to do, because they're like, no, you're a child, so they're not going to charge you as an adult. Now I'm like, this is crazy. At least they were talking about it. They've got children who just don't care. We got kids who are now dum-dums. And I don't think they're dumb, but I'm saying they're dum-dums because they're testing like dum-dums. You've got all these people coming on television trying to jockey for position for their next election. These are some corrupt people. Baltimore is so corrupt. It's just a dumpster fire. And when people like, are you scared to go there? I'm like, I'm not trying to even deal with it. I don't want to deal with that. I want to deal with it. I think our men need to go into the city and clean that up, not the women. You got the women who are in these positions. They're being paid to try to, enact some sort of change, and that's not working either. I don't know if it's a woman or man thing. I don't know if the kids need to see somebody else. I know being paid $445,000 is a lot of money. I mean, I want to be paid $445,000, and I make a cute coin, but I'm just saying, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for the kids having 0% of them, zero, not even test as distinguished. I look at other areas like where there are people, they're not even spending as much money on these children, right? And these children are performing. But there's different values in the home, different school environment, etc. I get that. The money that's being allocated for these children in Baltimore, I don't know where that money's going towards. I don't know if it's going towards the infrastructure. I don't know if it's going towards plumbing. I guess that's all part of the infrastructure, right? Like electrical stuff, HVAC, plumbing. I don't know what that number is. What I do know is what we're doing isn't working, and now the children are dum-dums. That is just heartbreaking. And I'm like, I don't know what to do unless you do something so radical. So radical. But what we're doing isn't working. Baltimore's a dumpster fire. And every time people try to convince me how great it is, I'm like, Baltimore should secede from the union and get their own currency. I mean, because I'm being petty at this point. I'm like, it's just useless. Why is it that Baltimore, we know that they've got corrupt people, but every city has corrupt people in place. Why is it that they're just horrible? I mean, it's giving me like Mississippi vibes. You know how like Mississippi's one of the poorest states in the union, and one of the most underperforming states in the union. Mississippi, Alabama, etc. Now, of course, you can cherry pick products from out of there, but the point I'm making is it's giving me Baltimore is like the Mississippi of the Mid Atlantic. Baltimore is the Mississippi of Maryland. Anyway, that's just where I'm at with it. Baltimore's a dumpster fire, and I know people want to sit there and defend it, like, well, we should be taking our kids to go to these museums and blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't know what more to tell you. I don't care how many museums you think are in Baltimore. Um, that's just where I'm at with it. So I can't get the words out. My conclusion is Baltimore needs to secede from the union and get their own currency. That's it. I mean, I'm saying that facetiously, but I'm like, I can offer up solutions. I think things are radical, but this is the thing. Um, like I talk about being educated and talk about understanding systems, understanding education systems and medical systems and economic systems and stuff like that. I don't know where all the pain points are, but what I do know is what we're doing isn't working, and we're failing the people of Baltimore. We are failing them. We're failing them like spectacularly. When you can put up on my screen that 0% of the children tested proficient out of those 13 schools, zero. And then out of the ones that weren't in those 13 schools, only 92 students total, 92 students in Baltimore tested proficient in mathematics. 0%. Zero students tested as distinguished or higher than like basically proficient. Just to be proficient, I mean, that's not a hard task. 92, 92 students. Within those 13 schools, those jacked up 13, zero. That's a lot of students that can't add. That's a lot of students who don't understand the concept of x. 5x plus 2 equals 10. Just a bad example. Oh gosh. No one understands what X is. That is crazy. And the sad part about it is there are children who's out there doing all kinds of crazy things. They don't even realize that they're doing algebra in their head every day. They just didn't know how to name it. They've just never seen it in written form. They're doing algebra in their head every day. All right, so look, I know I had to circle back. I had a conversation regarding about Tyler Perry being an op. I talked about. I didn't really go into the Kanye thing, but Baltimore was a dumpster fire. I said what I said. All right.